In the previous videos, we created HTML and HTML5 document markups. And what a markup is it is a set of markup tags. And these tags will tell the browser how to render the content inside. So let's go ahead and create a new file and save it in our mywebsite.com folder. I've deleted everything in there and I'm going to call this index.html like I did before. So click on save, and as we saw using Emmet we can just do an exclamation mark and press tab, and there we are. So I'm going to call this tags and elements because that's what we're going to be learning about in this particular video. So what I like to do is I like to indent everything from the head to the closing body, and again I will explain why I do that in just a moment. So what are tags? So a tag is a way to tell the browser how to interpret the content in between. So in the previous video we had a h1 tag, and inside of this we had hello world. So we've got our opening h1 tag, our closing h1 tag, and the content in the middle. So as the browser reads through this document from top to bottom, it's going to look at this particular tag and it's going to say, okay, I need to display this as a h1 element, which by default is big and bold. So let's go ahead and save this and look at that in our browser. There we are. The browser has not displayed the tag name, rather it has used it to determine how to interpret the code in between. So underneath this, let's create a paragraph, and we'll go into paragraphs in a couple of videos time. So create opening and closing paragraph tags, and the way that I did that was press P and tab, and inside of here I'm just going to have some dummy code. So type in lorem, press tab, and there we are. In fact, I'm going to turn word wrap on just so it's easier for you to see. So let's save this and open this in the browser, refresh this. There we can see it hasn't displayed the paragraph tags, but rather it has displayed this as a paragraph. We could do another paragraph underneath using the same method, save that, and there we are. So rather than putting it on the same line, it's created two separate paragraphs. So that is what a tag is. It's simply a keyword inside of angled brackets, and more often than not there is an opening and a closing tag. The tags are quite easy to remember because they are kind of the same as what you want it to do. So P for paragraph. If I wanted to create something bold, for instance, let's just do a B tag and type in the word bold. There we are, that's rendered as bold. So that's just an example. So what is an element? An element is everything from the start of the tag through to the end of the tag with the content in between. Now this isn't always the case. Sometimes there are what's known as empty elements, so you don't have the content in the middle like that, or a closing tag. It's just an opening tag, but we'll look at that in just a moment. So an element is everything from the start tag to the end tag. So let me delete everything that we've just done here, save this. Now an element can be listed inside another element, and if we look at this particular file we can see what we mean. So here we've got an opening HTML tag, and all the way at the bottom here on line 12 we have the closing tag. Inside of this we have various elements. So we've got a head element and we've also got a body element, and inside of the head we've got a meta element and a title. So you can see that you can nest, and the proper term is nesting, when you put a tag inside of another element. That is called nesting. And to make it easier to read, web developers normally indent their code. So as you saw me do right at the very beginning, I indented this. So I know that within the HTML element I've got a head and a body, and I've also got inside of the head, I can see easily that this title and meta is inside of the head, and likewise I've got h1 here. it just makes it a lot easier to read. If I was to highlight everything and remove the indenting, it just makes it a lot harder to read. So it's really good to indent your code. The way you can indent it is that you can just do some spaces on your spacebar, or I just prefer to press tab and it indents it like that. So that is tags and that is elements. Let's have a quick look at empty elements. So for example, to add a line break, you can just do opening and closing angle brackets and type in BR. Now this is perfectly valid, it will work, but it's normally best practice to close these empty elements, and the way that you do that is just after the keyword here, or the tag name, just add a /, and that makes it valid for XHTML, I believe, but we won't go into that. But just remember that it's good to close empty elements, but it's not necessary. So there we are, we've looked at what tags are and what elements are, and basically the whole HTML document will consist of these. So let's have a look at the next part, at attributes.